Yeah, I definitely, having played number one earlier in December and now number two, there's no question in my mind. I haven't played 3, 4, 5. I know that's debatable. But certainly, what both games felt like was certainly the two of the top teams in the country. They're both have just lethal actions at every position, right? Now you can go through and say you're the number one lethal, right? But there's usually not anybody like, you can say, you look at their box score, right? And you can look at Charlize, right? And you think, okay, she goes 5 for 8, right? Because you're worried about Lauren, and you're worried about Kiki, you're worried about Neepkins, right? And then she comes out off of fake and takes it in. Both of those teams are very, just very difficult to guard, and they play really great defense. The difference with UConn, they play full court pressure. Corey, they play, I'm sure they can, but they don't really need to. It's not what they set the tone doing. They pick you up to slow down your break. So I think right there, that's a little bit of the edge, but I've never been a pressing team. So it doesn't mean you're good, one's better than the other, but that does put you pressure right away. You can kind of be on your heels even trying to get to the quarter court. But, I just, I think, if they both get there again, you'll probably put your money on both of them, being a top seed getting there. And I think that matchup game would be pretty great. But playing both of them, I think I'd have a better answer ever watching the game. But I think maybe the edge UConn only because they press. But boy, both of them, I don't know who you really focus on and try to stop. But then the edge UCLA because 6'7" is pretty impressive, and she's good. Lauren's a good 6'7". I have all the respect in the world for Corey and her staff. She's does a heck of a job and does it the right way, and they're really, really good.
Coach, kind of more of a general one for you. As we continue to kind of navigate this evolving landscape of college basketball, obviously, you go and get Chit Chat out of the portal, who's had a major impact for you this season. Just what can you say about how important she's been, and how do you kind of balance, I guess, the old style of recruiting to now where the portal's become so big?
Yeah, I think that's everybody's probably trying to figure that out. Some of my colleagues, they're really not paying as much attention to high school anymore. They're doing it all portal. Some people are trying to hold on to the old guard, so I just think you just have to navigate it as best you can, and what feels right to you. I tend to do the portal based on need. We needed a point guard a couple of years ago. We got Lucy Olson, who was really tremendous for us this particular year. We needed a point guard, and we're really fortunate that we got Chit Chat. But I tend not to go to the portal to instantly get better. I'd rather develop our players. So I'm really thankful that I got Chit Chat. But I just think it's going to be interesting to see, can you survive trying to really recruit the high school kid? I do believe you can. That's how I want to do it. I'm going to try to do it. Certainly I have to recruit the portal to be competitive. And I think it's just difficult. I really immediately or immensely respect Corey. After that Final Four year, the team leaves. It's crazy, But, credit her. She got Neepkins, and she does a great job. And I recruited the heck out of Angela. I loved her, and that kid's quality. She probably said, yeah, I'm good. I'm coming off the bench. If we can get Neepkins and go win a title. That's quality. But that's a kid out of high school that didn't jump in the portal, right? And there's just so much people in their heads. There's a lot of agents, and there's handlers, and there's camps. It's hard to keep everybody happy. You're trying to win games, but sometimes you just gotta hold the line. So I think the rev shares and the collectives, all of it, we're all trying to figure it out. And I'm so thankful I got Chit Chat.
Hey, Jan.
Yep, hi.
You mentioned the other day that you were hoping UCLA would have as good of a shooting night today after struggling against Illinois. I'm just wondering, how do you come to the decision of not helping in the paint as much versus staying home on their shooters? What was the thought process there? How you guys
Well, that's the thing. You kind of have to, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're trying to pick your poison. I personally think, watched a lot of film, but a double team can't really, I don't think, slow down Betts as much, because I don't think she forces anything ill-advised against the double. So she kind of squares up and then she rockets it to Neepkins. So do you want to give 2? give up 2, or do you want to, have her throw it out for 3? So I tried not to really, I was trying to crowd, like give an illusion, right? So we were trying to stay out, but then they just hammered it in, right? And then we didn't do a great job on the closeouts today. I think they had 56 paint points, and it wasn't all just the post play. I don't think we played our best, but I will tell you that I think UCLA made us not play our best. They are really good. They're well coached, they're well prepared. They seen what we were trying to do, which wasn't try to really stop bets, so they just threw it into everybody. Then the second half, I tried to come down a little bit more. Then they, hit a couple on the outside. Angela, I think, really, always thwarted something. I went back and forth. Should we double? Should we just try to sag off Charlize? But it's just really hard because they're going to make you pay for whatever you decide to do.
Hi, Coach.
Yeah.
Hi. Ava Hayden, tough loss, but played very well today in her second year at Iowa, first year starting. Can you talk a little bit about her matchup today with Lauren Betts and her ability to draw fouls and finish in the paint?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Ava. She was really coming along at the end of last year. I think rising, stock was rising, and I think she still is, learning and growing. But I really liked, I thought the second half, she kind of came out a little bit more tenacious and really went for it. I think she's got a great upside, and I'm really excited about that. I just got to go back and watch some film. And I think some of the turnovers that, that she had, that would probably be the only glaring thing of Ava's game. But I think we can build on that, with her individually, knowing how she attacked it and kind of kept it away from her, for the most part. So that's the one thing I think that I hope she can gain a little bit of confidence from that. But I think Ava has tremendous upside. I think she's, she keeps working. I think we can really, really keep refining her game. So I was happy for her with that.
After 2 games, without Taylor McCabe now, what have you learned that maybe how you have to retool the team at all going forward?
Yeah, Taylor was just, I think she was our highest plus-minus kid leading the team. And so I'm not surprised that it's been a little bit of a hiccup because she's been calming. She makes good reads. She doesn't turn the ball over much. She is, pretty lethal. She had 50% of her threes in the last game against Maryland. So that's not surprising that, it's going to take us a while to figure that out. I think, we're trying to give kids some opportunities, and it's, in the course of the game, someone gets hot, you're trying to ride them. So now we'll have a couple more practices this week to try to get the right combinations together. So I think that just is the reforming of, and no one feels sorry for you. It's just part of, what we do. But it just is, the fluidity isn't quite there as much as it was. And part of that, we just haven't knocked down any shots lately. But we also played right away, without Taylor, arguably 2 of the best defending teams. Now, we had played Michigan State's a good defense. I'm not saying the Big Ten doesn't have good defenders, but Kennedy Smith was not playing in the stretch when they weren't winning at USC. She was back in the lineup, and she was all over our guards, right? Here, they really pressuring our young kids. So, I'm going to try to go back and watch that film and try to simulate it with our gray squad. So we got thrown in the fire. Everybody's trip out west is always the hardest because you're here for a long time and you're trying to navigate the extra 2 days in the middle, balance, going to Santa Monica and focus on the film, all of the things. And you're also playing really great teams. So while, fan bases could think the sky's falling, I think we played 2 really good teams. I think we played them without arguably one of my best players, my best leader, and I'm playing a lot of young kids. They're playing against a team that could contend for the national title, and I love my team. And I got to get my team remaining confident. I got to get them better. I got to be better. But I mean, man, anybody that's coached long enough, you form and norm teams, and that's most of what we do. The least of which is X's and O's most of the time. Is getting people comfortable roles and putting them in the places they need to be put. And so our staff has a big challenge ahead of us, but I just got to keep pushing the buttons.
Last one over here. You know, you recruited Addie, you have McKenna coming next year, and today's crowd, I think, had a big contingent here. Can you talk about like what recruiting players from out west and also coming here out west does for the Iowa brand?
Yeah, you know, I feel really blessed that we can recruit nationally. You know, we have a really good, we just have a really good fan base. I think today you might not have seen it, but I think we've had traditionally we can play a pretty fun brand of basketball. And I think that's attractive. If a kid wants to get away from home, I mean, the good old days when you were just recruiting without money and rev share and NILs and collectives, that's what it was about, scholarships and culture and majors, and you don't get away from home for a while. And I think that's why we've been able to attract a couple of these kids. Certainly UCLA, the Stanfords, the Cals, everybody in the West Coast, they're tremendous. And when a kid leaves, it's no diss. Sometimes they're not recruited, right? Maybe Corey wants someone else or whatever. But I just think that's the fun part about college. If you get to a point where you can recruit nationally and people are willing, our fan base is incredible. We've sold out for three straight years. Everybody thought it was over. We're sellouts when Caitlin and when Lisa Luter retired. Our fan base held. It held this year. It sold out. So it's a pretty cool environment in the Midwest. So I'm really proud and grateful for that, and I'm really thankful for the national interest.
Thanks, Jen.